Welcome to another episode of Pit Lane Parlay. My name is host Mike Jokum. With me is my favorite co-host in Jess Baker, and joining us for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, is dirt superstar Nick Berry, who you saw the Pit Lane Parlay wording on the side of his car down at the Chili Bowl. Jess and Nick, how's everybody doing?
Well, I'm fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good. Nick, thank you for joining us. I know it's a busy time of the year here before the season gets started, and before we get to any IndyCar related stuff, we're in the last weekend here before the season starts. Let's start with some dirt racing. I know this year, Nick, was your first year at the Chili Bowl Nationals. What was that experience like? I know the races didn't necessarily go as well as we all had hoped, but what was the experience like, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it for all the world. The races, like you said, it didn't go quite as well as planned. We timed in really well right off the bat in qualifying and group qualifying and practice or whatnot. And I thought, I was like, wow, really thought we had a shot at making it quite a ways through there. And the setup, it felt pretty good every time I went out. And then the heat race right off the bat, 1% off there and you're screwed, I think. And so we had a bad shock go bad on us in the heat race, and that made it a handful to drive. Probably about the hardest thing I ever drove in my life once that shock went bad. Prior to that, it was a lot of fun. And then we ended up going back out for a main and had engine troubles. So it was fairly short-lived, but probably one of the funnest weeks I ever had up in, other than that. So we had a lot of great people, a lot of good connections, and like I said at the beginning of the week, we turned some heads in a positive way, and we ended up getting to hang out with some cool people because of it. And
yes,
it was pretty
I
fun.
saw some of the pictures you posted on your social media. For those out there who are interested, I think all of Nick's social media is at Nick Berry Racing. So pretty easy to find. But who in the racing world did you get to meet, and did you get to gain any wisdom from the likes of a Ricky Stenhouse or whoever else you got to meet out there?
Yeah, I mean, I was pitted amongst some of the best drivers in the world. I mean, Kyle Larson, Rico Abreu, like you mentioned, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., all the Lawson Marshall guys. I mean, I was pitted right in there with them and Keith Coons, so I was kind of right in the middle of the mix there. And so definitely a lot of good guys to be able to talk to and get feedback from. And going to the Chili Bowl your first year, everyone wants to win every race they ever enter, of course. But you go into that race as a rookie, and you don't expect to obviously win it by any means, especially the first year. So you just take it for what it is, and you absorb as much information as you possibly can, whether it's on or off the track, and that's pretty much what you do. As a driver, you can give people hints and tips and stuff like that, but I mean, it's pretty hard to really apply all of that sometimes, because you just never know how a race is really going to unfold. So, like I said, I just absorbed as much as I could in information from a lot of good guys. Unfortunately, I didn't get to race long enough to really put any of it to use. So, and it's hard to do anything with a bad right rear shock. I mean, if it had been a left front shock per se, I've had those break and had problems like that, and I've won races without a left front shock, but. When you're really relying on a right rear shock, it's tough.
Yeah, for sure. And keeping with tradition, before I ask more racing questions, I will turn it over to Jess for the get to know Nick Berry / comedic relief portion of our weekly episode.
What we like to call the fun part, because I'm the one who gets to ask the fun questions, and that's only because I kind of made it that way. So I am going to ask the famous first question. Nick, are you ready for it? Actually, it's kind of unfair because you actually had time to prepare for these questions. It's a little unfair to the other guys who I just sprung this one, but we'll do the typical first question. I'm going to give you a 400-pound block of cheese, and this time I'm going to switch it up. It's going to be Gouda. Ooh. What are you going to do with a 400-pound block of Gouda?
400 pounds, please. I guess you know what? I'm gonna go with a total different answer here than most. I would give back and I would donate it to the homeless.
All right. Paying it forward. I like it.
Well done. That's definitely not what I was expecting to hear from anybody, but I think Nick wins the award for the nicest answer so far.
Humanitarian. The pit lane parlay humanitarian award.
You will get a block of cheese, not 400-pound block, not 400 pounds, but a block of cheese in honor.
Absolutely.
So, Jess, do you want to ask another one? Do you want me to go back to racing?
No, we'll go back and forth like normal.
Okay. Nick, we're coming up here. It's March 1st. It's getting time where the dirt tracks are starting to open up for the season in the next couple of weeks. What do you have planned for this year, and do you have any goals, whether it be win a handful of races, be competitive at every race, how what are your plans and goals for the racing season in 2018?
Well, I'm still I just got done doing some ice racing, so racing really hasn't stopped per se from the Chili Bowl. It's literally get back here, and the very next week we're doing the ice racing thing with sprint cars up here, and then so right now, we're trying to juggle between an ice racing sprint car and getting a dirt racing sprint car program up to par and ready to go. So it's tough. But as far as the dirt stuff, pretty much going to be doing local and regional races for this year, most of the season, because my oldest boy, he also races. He just started a couple years ago, so I'm kind of trying to go around his schedule as well. As far as goals go for the year doing that, of course, anytime I get into a sprint car, I'm kind of a veteran with one of those, so I shoot to win every time I'm in one of those things. So none of my goals is to win races.
I like what I hear. You brought up an interesting point that someone had mentioned to me a few weeks ago, and then I saw on your social media, I think in the last week or two, sprint car ice racing. Now, it sounds pretty awesome to me, especially, I love the cold weather, grew up on a hockey rink. What makes, other than the obvious, it's ice and not dirt, what makes it different from a driving perspective?
Well, it's definitely tough as far as visibility. The colder it is, the harder it is to see, because the snow dust is much worse on a cold day than it is opposed to a warmer day. It just lingers. So the quickest and easiest answer to explain ice racing to someone, and it's kind of nuts because you're still doing 100+ miles an hour in a sprint car on ice, but is to literally hold a piece of white paper in front of your face and tell someone to go full throttle.
I love what I hear.
And yeah, it's pretty wild. As far as, everyone has their own techniques or whatever they do to prepare for it. But I like to try to go out in warm-ups and basically go as fast as you possibly can while you can see and while you're out front. And basically you count how many seconds it takes to get down the straightaway before you set it into the next turn. And that's kind of sounds pretty crazy and bizarre, but that's kind of how you know where, you can gauge as to where you're at on the racetrack.
That's something I think I'm going to have to come up to New Hampshire for, I guess, at this point next winter. And with that, since I asked 2 in a row, Jess, I'm sorry to steal your thunder, so it is all you.
Well, I'm just going to throw in there that I will probably not be joining you to watch ice racing, but if you could, Periscope it to me, that'd be awesome. I hate cold weather.
Yeah, we'll do...
You know what? As silly as it sounds, I hate cold weather, too.
I mean, it's just terrible.
Agreed.
Okay, so I have heard that you've prepared for this one, so I'm expecting a really good, off-the-wall answer, but I'm going to ask our second most popular question, and that is going to be, what is your spirit animal?
All right, so my spirit animal is the bee. The reason that it is my spirit animal is because I have a never-give-up attitude. I'm persistent, and I usually try to motivate others as well as my own self.
It's totally off the wall because it's an insect.
Yeah.
We're going to go with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nick is killing it.
I love it.
I mean, I think he obviously prepared that answer. I might have some insider information on that one. But again, pretty good answer with that one. So, going back...
I mean, I listen to most every one of the podcasts, and, I know that obviously it's coming, so I was like, you know what? I better have, an answer for this. So
yes, but you don't know what else is
survey.
coming.
That's how I come up with it.
I don't even remember what the rest of Jess's questions are, so at this point, I would be...
Oh, yeah. After this, it's just all my random brain working, and we all know it is definitely random. I mean, my motto is never a dull moment, so...
So quick...
That's awesome. We'll go with it.
Quick dirt racing plug. If you're trying to watch some races, but there isn't a dirt track near you, I don't know if any of you are... I'm sure many of you are Indianapolis region based, or maybe some people here near me in Philly. In the Philly area, there are plenty of tracks. Obviously, in Indy, there are dirt tracks nearby, and all the way up into where Nick is in New Hampshire, there are some regional ones as well. But if you cannot get to a dirt track, DirtVision.com is running $39 monthly. You can watch all of the Outlaw Craftman Sprint Cars, late models, the Super Dirt Car Series, and World Racing Group Dirt Series, and maybe a few others as time goes on. But pretty cool offering for those who want to watch some dirt racing but aren't able to get to the track for whatever reason. I know I have already signed up. I know Nick has signed up. Jess, if you haven't signed up, you are slacking. And with that...
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal.
Nick, I'm going to ask a racing question, but more general than dirt racing. Growing up, did you have a driver that you most looked up to or most tried to emulate your driving after?
Well, I grew up in a racing family, so my uncle was always my hero growing up. So he won a lot of races and championships, and we were in victory lane with him every week. So I guess I always wanted to be like him and followed in his footsteps, and I adapted quite a lot of his driving and technique, and kind of made it my own, I guess, over the years. And I'd probably say my uncle, to be honest.
Cool. No, I love it. I'll turn it right back over to Jess. We'll make it rapid fire.
Doesn't give my brain very much time. Is really random questions. Okay, so I'm going to go with one that I've used before. I don't think I use it every time. Maybe I have. I don't think so, though. If you were going to have dinner with 3 people, living or dead, anybody you want, who would it be and why?
All racing people or no?
I would say it doesn't matter if they're racing people or not.
Okay. Living or dead? You know what? You caught me off guard on this one. I have actually heard you guys ask this before. Never really gave it a thought. One I would say would be my grandfather that had passed away, just because I'd love for him to, I feel like he's looking down and seeing what we're doing, and he'd be pretty proud, and I'd really like to share a moment with him. So that will be one. I'm going to steal one of Joel's because it was a good answer. I'm going to go with Dale Earnhardt Sr. I thought the guy was a great driver, not just for NASCAR, but I thought he was a great racing personality in general, just for the sport of auto racing, like I said, in general. So, and my third one, I think I'd go with, I would go with Mark Kinzer. He used to run the World of Outlaws. He was kind of like a hero to me as far as racing and stuff. Growing up as a little kid, I watched him, and I always thought that he was pretty cool. I watched him in the working 5M as well as the Mopar 5M and stuff, and just a cool guy. I think it'd be cool to get pointers from someone like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great question, Jess.
A dinner party I'd like to be invited to.
Yeah. Make that room for one more if you can add me in there.
Absolutely.
Nick, what are your are you going to be able to make it down to a Pennsylvania dirt race this year? I'm going to ask an easy question. Selinsgrove or Williamsgrove?
Yeah, I'd like to get down there this year. My schedule isn't completely 100% finished, but I would like to get down there. Probably to Williamsgrove at least once this year in the sprint car, and then possibly Bridgeport this year as well. So I know that's not in PA, but it's kind of in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it's not a far drive at all. If you were to pick one guy to win the IndyCar overall championship this year, and one guy or the same guy to win the Indy 500 this year, who are your picks? And I came up with that question right on the spot, so I don't even know my answer for part of that.
Oh man.
And I can turn it over to Jess if Jess wants to answer this too.
My pick for both, I'm gonna go with Scott Dixon.
Okay, for the overall championship or for the 500?
I'll go for both.
All right.
Ooh,
I
impressive.
like it. Aggressive, and I like it. Cool. And just some IndyCar news that came out today. Not to switch gears completely here. But
are you going to make me gag a little bit? You're going to make me gag a little bit.
I'm not going to bring up.
Is it going to be about Danica?
It is not.
No.
It is
no,
not.
it's going to be about. It's going to be about my other favorite driver.
It is. I'm sorry, but I have to bring it up at some point, Jess.
It's news. It's news. I get it.
We made it 20 minutes without bringing up Danica into an episode until Nick brought it up.
And
so
you didn't even do it, but you
this
paid
week
him though, didn't you?
I did not. I did not bribe Nick on the back end, and if he says I did, there's definitely some lying going on. Brian Reinbold again announced Sage Karam with Wix Filters as his primary sponsor, which we shall see how he can handle the new car. But it is good to see that Dreyer and
Now
Reinbold
it's 10, right?
it is good to see that Dreyer and Reinbold is considering, involvement beyond the Indy 500 with the purchase of a second car and a second driver for the 500, likely Mr. J.R. Hildebrand. So if they can get in some extra races this year, I'm all for the added car count. I know Jess's opinion on this one, so I don't even have to ask. But Nick, what do you think of the Karam announcement? And do you think Dreyer and Reinbold kind of coming back into the fold, possibly full time, is a positive?
To be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about that deal, bud. To be honest.
Sure, no problem at all. Just so everybody knows, for those who haven't read the news, I know Jess saw this. Sage Karam was announced today in the first of two Dreyer and Reinbold cars with Wix Filters as the primary sponsor. His fourth with Dreyer and Reinbold, and in fifth overall. We know he's one of the more colorful personalities on the Indy 500 grid every year, and let's should be interesting. Moving on, I will turn it over to Jess for the next question.
Are you more of a cat person or a dog person?
Oh boy.
That was a very sad oh boy.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no,
go with you gonna say cat.
Growing up, I was definitely more of a cat person, and then as I've gotten older, it's kind of 50-50. I was still kind of a cat person, and then we ended up getting a new dog about a year ago, and she's really grown on me. So dog is high on my list now, I guess.
What
Okay.
About
All
you,
right.
Jess?
50-50 then.
We'll go.
Yeah,
Man.
kind of 50-50.
We'll open this one up.
Well, y'all heard my dog bark earlier, so you know I have a dog.
Mhm.
I have two cats, and my dog is about the size of a cat. So I'll let you do the math, but I may be working on that whole crazy cat lady thing.
Yeah, that caught me by surprise.
Hairball.
Yeah. I guess I'll throw my hat in the ring there as the dog person. Growing up with dogs, you guys may have heard my dog just now climb back into his little dog bed behind me. He is my recording buddy that you've probably seen on our Pit Lane Parlay social media at some point. I am highly, I shouldn't say highly, but I am somewhat allergic to cats, and they cause me to my eyes to turn bloodshot red. So I try to avoid them at some points if possible, but they are very cute. I will say that, and now that we've gotten the cute and fuzzy portion of the show out of the way with. Nick, will you be back or hopefully, in the plans to be back at the Chili Bowl next year, and will it be with the same, hopefully with the same team? Do you guys plan that stuff out that far ahead?
Well, yeah. The answer to going back to the Chili Bowl is absolutely. We'll be back. There's been talks about going back with the same team, but they were also kind of unsure if they were going to have something for next year. So they had actually even offered to sell me the operation. So it's still kind of up in the air. I've also talked to a couple of different car owners about next year. A little bit better, not knocking the equipment per se. Completely, but have talked to some people that have a little bit better equipment for next year and really, organized and can go back out and really, I hope give it a good college try and hopefully run up towards the front. So.
Yeah, I know like you said, your practice times were very strong, and we were all following closely, and glad to come on board with the car at the kind of the last minute there. Thank you to
Well,
at sponsored drivers, I believe, on Twitter to kind of set that all up to begin with. If you were gonna, let's slightly change gears on this racing question here. I know you mentioned, your son is an up and coming racer. Where can people find him this year? What type of cars will he be racing? I know, from what I hear, shout out to Les Hanna at American Ethanol, speaks very highly of him as an outstanding driver already. So where can we see him, this year?
yeah, he's getting ready. We're getting ready to race New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Gonna go there, but essentially it's ran under the INEX series banner. So he'll be there. He'll be at some of the other major NASCAR tracks around here. Obviously, New Hampshire Motor Speedway is the big tracks, and then we'll be over at Lee USA Speedway. Speedway 51. I think we go up to Monadnock. We'll probably go down to Seekonk in Massachusetts. So he'll be doing a small series, and
Awesome.
And he races the Bandolero series. So it'll be a lot of fun. We look forward to it.
Cool. And his people can find him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is escaping me, so I'll let you give him a social media plug.
Yeah, he's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's all at Caden Berry, Kadynberry.
Awesome. And with that, Jess, it is time for another fantastic question from you.
The warm, fuzzy, comedic kind?
I hope so.
Let's see here. Okay, you have an unlimited budget. What is your dream car?
Ooh.
Race car?
In any kind of car. Just your dream car. You have an unlimited budget.
I guess I'm still going to go with a race car, I guess, on this one, and I'm going to say a World About Lost Sprint car.
Okay.
Jess, what about you?
Yep, pretty passionate about
Many
those.
races, actually. I obviously with the whole living in Indiana thing, I see several of those a year. I love dirt track racing, so I can see that for sure. But my personal pick would be an Aston Martin Vanquish. I mean, they're just sexy cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh man, now I guess I have to answer this. I just put myself on the
putting you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I don't want to go with a race car because Nick stole that option. Oh man. How about an Indy car? I'm sorry, I'm going to steal Nick's race car idea here. Not that I'd probably be very good, but it'd probably be fun to drive if the simulators have any shred of accuracy. Then it's a lot of fun, but I'm not very good at that either. But if I were to go to a street legal car, I would like to drive one of the new Corvettes. They look incredibly nice. I haven't driven a Corvette since I was about 17 when a high school friend had one, and be cool to drive an American car. But I also own a Honda and love my Honda, so maybe one of those old school Acura NSXs. My answer is all over the board on this one.
Yeah, mine is too. I'll throw in one extra just to make it street legal, and I will go with a '69 Camaro SS.
Oh, okay, all right.
Nick wins again. So let's see, Jess, do you have another question? I'll turn it over to you again.
I mean, I might as well because you're just asking all the questions. It's not fair.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. I will step back. Go right ahead.
Okay, do you have a random hobby outside of racing that we need to know about?
You know what? I'm pretty easygoing guy. I like to do a lot of different things. racing, aside from my family, is pretty much my life. But I'm going to go with baseball.
Oh, okay. Who's your team?
I like baseball. As far as the team goes, I Red Sox, Boston Red Sox.
Oh God, we can't be friends anymore.
Oh, Nick's definitely
Well,
not gonna like me.
it's a New England thing. You gotta like winners. People hate winners.
Nick, are you gonna be super mad that your Patriots lost in the Super Bowl to possibly my Eagles? I don't know. It was a great game. But,
I actually sort of thought that this might come up tonight.
He has been gloating.
The way I look at it, everyone deserves to win at least once. So congratulations on those Eagles. And that's awesome, man. Congratulations, and I hope it the celebration continues for a long time for you guys, because I don't know when it might come again.
Oh, wow, that was harsh. I'm not even going to go into making fun of Tom Brady. But I will say, slightly out of left field, as growing up a Yankees fan, because of my dad, I was at the game where everybody's least favorite baseball player, Alex Rodriguez, hit his 600th homer in Fenway. There with my brother, and got the whole home run, and trot around the bases, and the corresponding thunderous boos on my phone, and it was I am no A-Rod supporter after everything he did, but it was pretty cool to hear an entire stadium that angry at one person.
It's still pretty cool, though, that you get to experience that event. That's pretty awesome.
And Fenway, for those of you who are baseball fans, is one of the best places to watch a game. If you can make your way into Boston, I highly recommend it. I've only been there once, and it's the only stadium that, because it's so old, the ceilings are so low in the concourse that I feel tall. So it was, thank you to whoever built that 100 and something years ago for, in 2000, and I think I was 15, I was there, making me feel like a tall person for a change. And with that, Jess, it is is it my turn or your turn for a question? I'm lost now.
It's your turn, but I want to throw in my baseball team because nobody asked the girl.
Well, I didn't know if you had a baseball team in in Indiana.
I do. I just said that he couldn't be my friend because of my baseball team.
She did say that.
Oh, she did. I'm sorry. I'm not a good listener.
I know you. My baseball team, and Lord help me this year,
Oh, no.
is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, that's just sad.
Ooh.
This year, it's going to be rough. I'm not going to lie. But you know what? They're still going to be my team, and I still love them.
Yeah, that
means you're a real fan.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jess, I'm not going to make fun of you for being a Rays fan because it's just going to be a sad year. But
this year is going to be sad. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what I'm going to do without Evan Longoria.
The question is, not to get completely off topic here, is who do they have left?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know.
So
we'll see. It's spring training. We'll see what happens.
One thing cool that I saw, I think it was last weekend or earlier this week, going back to the ice racing topic, is our guest from episode 5 and reigning IndyCar champion Joseph Newgarden got to race in a Rally X car in Norway last Sunday. I saw a quick video of it. It looked cool. He said it was awesome because of how hard you have to drive the car the entire time, and you can't relax at any stage. So cool to see Newgarden getting some different experiences here in the off season. And if I'm not mistaken, his fire suit has Taylor Swift's album on it, so maybe we'll have to ask him if he's a T-Swift fan, and Big Machine Records, and maybe that's related to Taylor. I personally have no idea. Jess, do you know the answer to that one?
I don't, but I know she did sponsor a car in NHRA last year, so It would not shock me.
And she was on Tony Kanaan's car. What was that, in Detroit?
I think it was
tour?
Detroit, yeah.
I think that was also 2015. It was a couple of years ago at this point. We need Encyclopedia Matt Hickey to do the research. So Matt, if you when you get to this point in the episode, send me a tweet and confirm if I'm right on the 2015 on that one. Is that, Nick, would you like to try a rally car on ice, or is sprint cars the way to go?
Well, sprint cars are always the way to go, no matter what surface. But yeah, I would definitely try it. Obviously, I'm a huge sprint car guy, but I just love racing anything. Honestly, I'm like super competitive, and no matter what it is, I'll do a running race. I don't care. But yeah, I would definitely do that. I think it'd be really cool. Rally car would be awesome. It kind of mix in with some of the stuff I've done in my past. I grew up racing motocross prior to racing cars, so it's kind of a cross between everything, I guess.
Awesome.
I'd do it.
Jess, question?
That actually just gave me a really good question, and obviously right off the top of my head, how many bones did you break when you were racing motocross? I've actually been pretty fortunate as far as the whole motocross thing. I actually never broke a bone racing motocross. It sounds so bad, silly, but I did end up going to my first racing banquet to receive my trophy. Felt kind of stupid. I went on crutches because I broke my ankle on a trampoline. Not good. And then the reason I stopped racing motocross is because all my friends actually started getting hurt right around the time I was just getting old enough to start racing cars. So I was fortunate. I won races and championships racing motocross, and knock on wood, never hurt anything. So that's actually super impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I broke a bone every other week growing up playing hockey, as I'm sure my parents were super thrilled.
I was in gymnastics, and I can't even tell you how many bones.
You know what's funny. Speaking of injuries, or maybe not fun. Actually, not funny. But I get a laugh about it. The very first hockey game my wife ever saw me play, I got knocked completely unconscious as a goalie. So sometimes I laugh about the fact that she turned and saw me sprawled out on the ice and went to her friend, is he supposed to be doing that? And no, I was not intentionally napping in the middle of the game, even though it was just a rec league when the school season ended. But anyway, moving on from that fun anecdote, quick story that kind of caught my eye, in addition to the fact that the Ray Hall team again has announced another sponsor for the season. Props on them for Luther Automotive Group. But there was a Indy Lights announcement for Juncos this week, and it's not so much the announcement, but it's what he said that caught my eye. I'll get either of your opinions. Alfonso Celis, who raced as Force India's Formula One reserve driver the past 2 years, and also raced in the World Series Formula V8 3.5 series last year, which I think is where Mr. Pietro Fittipaldi is from, and Renee Binder, if I'm not incorrect. But he said something interesting in his interview, and great to get him over in Indy Lights and get him some seasoning. But he said he had some IndyCar options this year, and I find that interesting only because we know Santi Urieta said, I have a 70% of a budget, and then about it was probably 6 weeks ago now, he said, I'll be announcing my IndyCar season plans in 2018 in the beginning of February. Now we're at the beginning of March, and he officially re-signed with Belardi Racing for Indy Lights for the full season, and hopefully that he can win a championship this year and get the jump up. But just do you believe him when he says that? Do you think he had a shot at that coin seat before Fittipaldi snuck in there, or is he kind of just trying to get himself some publicity and momentum going into the season?
Well, I mean, I've kind of said it before. I don't necessarily think that these guys who say things are just completely blowing smoke. But I think that their version of 70 or 80% done and the team's version of 70 or 80% done are two separate things. So I think it's honestly just a viewpoint thing. So from his viewpoint, very well could have had a chance at it, and from their viewpoint, who knows? It's not a name that's been thrown around, but that doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't going on in the background.
Yep, I think that's a fair assessment. I lost my train of thought. Jess, I'll turn it over to you with a good question here before we start to wrap it up.
Okay, so I've asked the warm and fuzzies. Let's see. You don't like cold, so I already know that. How do you take your coffee? And please tell me you take coffee.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I actually love coffee.
Okay, thank God.
Most hot or cold, mostly cold. It's like a New England thing, even though it's like winter time and it could be like below zero. We'll still drink iced coffee. I know you don't like that because you don't like the cold, but neither do I, and I still do it. So it might just be a New England thing. But yeah, as far as an iced coffee, I get an iced coffee 5 and 5 with liquid sugar typically, and it's of course Dunkin' Donuts. Also kind of a New England thing. And then hot coffee, just cream and sugar.
Okay.
And occasionally I will mix it up and not just go completely regular, like conventional. I'll go hazelnut, which a lot of people don't like, but sometimes I like it.
I don't mind it necessarily, but if I'm just grabbing a cup of coffee in the morning, I know I'm weird for being a girl, but my cup of coffee in the morning, my first cup of coffee, I put 1 spoon of sugar. That's it. After that, it's black.
Yeah, black coffee is the way to go. If there's
black coffee, unless I'm going to Starbucks, and then I get the 4 million calorie cup of coffee. But other than that, it's usually pretty straightforward. I like to actually taste the coffee.
I know everybody in New England loves Dunkin' Donuts. That's probably the only place I'll go to that I won't get black coffee because the taste it just doesn't do it for me.
Awful.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that. I was trying to be nice to Nick here.
I'm not. We can't be friends because of our baseball team, so I'm not going to be nice.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's all right. I like people who are real and straight up. I respect them much more.
All right, I hate Dunkin' Donuts.
There we go. That's all right. Occasionally I get sick of them too, but I end up going back every time. So
if it's when in desperation, I'll get coffee wherever I have to.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you need it, right?
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? Anyway, we're coming up on the almost the 45-minute mark here. Jess, I will let you make one exciting announcement before we do the pitfalls of the week. Nick, if you would like to pitfall somebody or something this week, feel free. If not, don't worry about it. But Jess, I'll turn it over to you before I have an announcement of my own.
Okay, so I feel like we've done a lot of really exciting announcements lately, and this one is I mean, I can't even describe how excited I am for this. So we, as a podcast, are going to be sponsoring a lap in the Indianapolis 500 this year. So I want you all to, when you are there, or even if you have to order one online, get a program. Our podcast name will be in the program. I have done it as a personal sponsor for the GP race every year that they've had the GP race so far, and it's a great opportunity, and I cannot be more excited to have a lap in the 500 for the first time.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super excited about it. And anybody who sees me in Indianapolis whenever you get the program, find me and let's share a drink. And let's do some autographs. I know nobody really wants my autograph, but I'm gonna say that.
But why not?
But why not? I mean, maybe someday when this podcast is even bigger, it'll be valuable. You never know. But piggybacking off Jess's announcement, and I touched on it last week, but I have more details now. It's not completely finalized, but it will be, if not tomorrow, probably on Monday. Wildfire Sports Radio is going to be syndicating our show anywhere you want. In addition to wherever you listen to the podcast now, it's going to be available on their website on a given time slot every Friday. So we can keep our Thursday recordings here going, and be able to listen to it Fridays. Hopefully at a good time, but we'll know more on the timing in the next couple days here. But the guys will also have some information about the podcast up on their website, which is wildfireradiosports.com. They also have an app for iPhone and Android, which you can use to listen to the show if you don't want to use iTunes or Podbean or one of the other apps. It's actually a very easy to use app, and they've got a little live chat on there if you need to bug them with any technical questions. The guys are great. They're local to me here in Philly, so some good Philadelphia content. For the local better than Boston sports teams on there. So excited to expand our podcast reach here in the near future. I'll post about that once we get all the paperwork done in the next couple of days here. And there still are just a handful of Cheese Party with Team Pit Lane shirts available. If you ordered one already, it went out in the mail today. And with that, Jess, do you want to start the pitfall?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to do a very general one this week.
Okay.
I saw a lot of things this week that really, I guess, rubbed me the wrong way. I saw a lot of people attacking other people on social media for the same thing. We are all in this together, kids. We are all fans together. Let's not attack each other. And who cares if somebody says something stupid? Maybe they just were having a moment. And like I said, I don't know why. For some reason this week it just really bothers me. But I've seen a lot of fans attacking other fans, or fans attacking previous drivers. I won't mention any names, or previous drivers saying things that they shouldn't say, and then when somebody calls them out, they attack them. It's just, I don't know. I think that as a little racing community, we need to stick together and not let that hatred per se get out of control, because that's just going to rip us all apart.
Jess, you're ruining my pitfall.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Nick, I'll either let you chime in with an opinion, or if you want a pitfall of your own, go right ahead before I continue down.
Yeah, no, I honestly I second everything that Jess said. I mean, it's united we stand and divided we fall, and that's that's for racing too. We all kind of got to stick together. We're in it together, whether you're IndyCar, sprint cars, NASCAR, it doesn't matter, whatever. We're all race fans, race drivers, whatever, promoters. We all got to stick together and support one another, and I guess look at the positive. I try to look at the positive in anything that I do. So, and sometimes negative things happen, and sometimes people aren't so cool sometimes, but at the end of the day, I think we all got to get along and make it work and see the positive in everything.
Yeah, I think you both have echoed a fantastic message that I didn't really think about much when I was thinking through my pitfall, but it's okay because I have a backup. So I'm going to, piggyback on yours before I go on my own. Both Jess and Nick. I'm not not going to name names here. We all know who we're talking about. The social media uproar on the IndyCar world this week. It was disappointing to me only because, why are you, why are you taking shots like that at IndyCar? It felt like a low blow and really, as you guys said, an unnecessary low blow. We're all, racing is racing, and I love it in almost any form I can get it. And I think it, once fans started turning on other fans during the let's call it Twitter war of the end of February 2018, was definitely, I think, exhausting. But definitely, an unnecessary comment by, said driver to begin with, and I'm disappointed, especially coming from a former driver, that they felt like they needed to take a shot at this. But moving on from that, I'm going to touch on something else, slightly here in the Global Rallycross Series kind of changing their tune and not only going to a spec car, but every car would be a Ford Fiesta with the same engine, same everything. Really taking the kind of the fun of GRC out of it with the different style of car, different brand of cars and different styles of engines, and it's really kind of blanded it down a little bit. And I'm disappointed. I don't know how the racing is going to be. Maybe it makes the racing better, and I could be completely wrong. And I look back on this pit lane pitfall and laugh. But a little disappointing to see this week. I was surprised at how much uproar there was, in agreeing with me and disagreeing with the GRC about it. But I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who felt that way to begin with. Guys, any input on that one? I know it was kind of a just a blip on the radar of racing news this week.
Yeah, I saw it. I actually read about that today. I don't know if it came out today or not, but that's when I read about it, and I don't know. I would really like to get a driver's opinion about it, to be honest with you, because that series is so. Not to put them in the same class or anything, but it's very much like F1. It's very dominated by one team, and so it'll be really interesting to see the reaction of the people in the series to evening things out a little bit and see what happens then. So I don't know. I think it could really go either way, but I think it might be an interesting way to see where the talent truly lies.
Nick?
Yeah, it's the same across every form of motorsports lately. It seems like everyone kind of wants to just spec them out and, make cars all the same. And I see pros and cons to both of it. Like she said, you open it up and you get one team that seems to really dominate and stuff like that, and I can see from a series or promoter's view to kind of make the cars all equal, so to speak, and kind of put it in the driver's hands. But on the other end, as a team owner and driver and stuff like that, I think it really takes out the ingenuity and brains of the operation, so to speak. I mean, they used to say races are won in the shop, and you're really, if you're limited to basically everyone being the same, I feel like it takes a lot from any form of motorsports when you do that, and takes a lot of fun out too. So I kind of like being creative and thinking outside the box, and if someone's faster than you, then you better come next week with a faster ride, and hopefully you can beat them.
Especially with the GRC car that while an Indy car is for the most part a spec car, there is a lot of setup that can be changed. A GRC car is for the most part it is what it is. So we shall see. I know I'll tune in to some races here and there throughout the season. Maybe it won't be dominated by one team anymore, or maybe that team is just so good at it won't change. Who knows? But with that, unless either of you guys have anything else, next week will be our first week where you can also find us on Wildfire Sports Radio. All their information will be tweeted out and on social media in the near future. So, with that, I will let Jess close it out.
And guys, keep your lug nuts tight.